I am so excited, so freaking honored to have a family member on the show. This is my first family member on the show, future cousin. Well, I'll say cousin anyway. Brooklyn Holton for now, and she's gonna just totally dominate this show. I'm so excited, you guys. Like, talk about like crushing it in going anti-female gender norms for athleticism. She's going to talk a little bit about that, maybe a little bit, and then transition into what she's really excited about. I'm so excited. I know like we're both super busy people, but you know, family's important. So I'm excited for people to hear from you.
Thank you. I'm thrilled to be here. I'm so excited to be able to be able to do what you're doing. and connect it to what I'm doing. So that's really exciting for me.
Woo woo. So you're going to be coming in on my dad's side of the family. And for those that, you know, don't know your background, whatnot, why don't we start with what got you to where you are? Like, what's your origin story?
Yeah, I would say that my life has been characterized by athletics. The time I was a little girl all the way. It brought me through college, had a track scholarship for the heptathlon.
I don't think I knew that.
Yeah, not many people do, just because the heptathlon's not an easy, not that it's not an easy thing to know. It's not a common thing to know. So a track, but it's for the heptathlon. And after I graduated college, I double majored and ended up working for the city of Everett. And in that was able to both pursue a career in professional women's football. So it's full outdoor, 11 on 11, tackle, everything. And also in the off season of football was the on season of bobsled with Team USA. So, I
forgot that. Oh my gosh. Yes. Let's talk about that.
Yeah. So that, the sports really translated well as I was a power athlete growing up, all the way through college. Track is a power sport for me, the events that I did. So football for me was my heart sport. I brought my permission slip form home in high school. My parents would sign it. So as soon as I could sign me on contract, it was like, amen, I'm a football player. So it's like, and this isn't recreational with the boys during the summer. Like I legit get to be on a team. So yeah. Exciting. And that was my life, and I never expected that life to end. I had a podcast interview with an organization called the Sideline Perspective, who really caters to athletes who are either retired or injured on the sideline. I found myself on the sideline. So when I had some pretty significant injury in one single year to my shoulder and my right foot, and that basically forced retirement, I had to learn what does it look like to be a sideline athlete. Perspective, and that kind of what has launched me into where I am now. But yeah, that backstory is a life of athletics, of sports. Track is there's two seasons. There's an indoor season and an outdoor season, so it's literally around all the time. As a heptathlete, it's 3 trainings a day, 3 practices, weight room, 2 practices with the technique. So it was always a lot. And then all of a sudden, stop, like it's a halt, you're injured, and you don't get that life anymore. So.
And can I just say that like because we've been following each other, across the country for a few years now, and just the journey and whatnot. And your videos of like up in the gym by the Smith machine, like doing your rehab and stuff, so inspiring, because I mean, that's not an easy thing to go through. You go through an injury and you're doing your rehab. Like nobody wants to do their physical therapy. Like, I'm sorry, nobody is like jumping out of bed to go get some PT on, but you were doing it. You're being consistent, being a great role model to everybody, watching your journey. So I have to give you that for sure.
You.
Now,
I appreciate that.
Absolutely. Like, where do you think that came from? Like, were your parents athletes or?
My dad was absolutely an athlete. He received 2 full ride scholarship offers for football and baseball to Eastern.
Oh, wow.
Chose baseball. My mom didn't do sports through school, but has always been really athletic. She rode dirt bikes with the guys. We'd play indoor volleyball together. We'd hiking, we do all sorts of stuff. So both very active, physically active parents. And I also there's a mix, I think, in just who I am as a person too, that mentality. I'm a really optimistic, positive outlook and kind of individual. And so when you are faced with injury, I learned really early on in high school, I ended up having a broken foot, and my coaches kind of just wrote off my track season and said, well, get you back next year. And I was like, I'm here this year. Like, you know, I'm going to, and I'm going to do something this year.
You go, girl.
Yeah. And that kind of attitude is just, it's a comfortable space for me to kind of over challenges. I'm not super risk averse. I'm not a fearful person. And so I think that has carried through because I've been injured a lot. I kind of joke now that retirement has been a place where I used to heal to be able to compete. And now I have time to heal to function. And it's been a really, and for me, that includes the mentality, the emotional stability, all of those things together. So.
Yeah, that's so incredible. And it's so funny you mentioned, you know, about just like injury and overcoming and like not being afraid to like work through the pain. Like that just reminds me of one of my undergrad professors. She's the USA women's sport psychologist for the soccer team and like works with a lot of Olympic athletes. And she would say things like that, like, I don't do pain. I had a psychologist that will work with the athletes if they were injured because I will make them work through it. I will teach them a mind trick or a mind hack or whatever. So you must have had that within you. Did you guys have a sports psychologist when you were on the bobsled team?
We have resources around that, but bobsled is pretty lean.
Budget wise.
Staff and coaching opportunity. I did, one of my majors was kinesiology. I chose all my electives to be psychology focused. I find that really, that's just something that I love.
Same.
And that mindset, I think a big part of it is my faith. I have a really strong foundation in faith. And so being rooted in something that's stable for me allowed my emotional control and allowed my knowing and my believing that there's more than what I'm experiencing in that moment to kind of always be present. So that foundation was really crucial for me in every time because I knew that what I was doing or what I was going through, whatever trials or tribulations basically that I was being faced with, I was able to overcome them because there was something greater than myself that was putting effort and strength into that.
I love that. And so you used that faith to kind of keep you balanced no matter what things are happening, injuries or deadlines with work or all kinds of stuff. Now, what are you doing right now that you're really excited to share?
I'm so excited. So with obviously going into retirement, I had to shift into a place of what do I spend all of these hours? Because I used to train multiple hours a day. My morning would start at 3 a.m. and it would end at like 9 or 10 p.m. and it would start over. And I would do all these things with a full-time job. So one, I had to identify for myself, what does physical health look like without nutrition? So how do I redefine my gym time? How do I redefine my training or my practices or the level of expectation that I have for myself when I choose to try something new? Like I don't have to go pro in anything that I do. And that's the mindset for me to adopt and welcome. And so in doing that, I decided I was going to just start trail running. I enjoy hiking. Actually, I being on top of a mountain. I'm not, like I said, I was a power athlete. So walking into the world of endurance has been really uncomfortable and a big experience for myself. And so I wanted to test the waters and see if I could do something like trail running without feeling pressure to become a professional. Because endurance isn't my body's natural ability. A little pressure was taken off myself because I was like, I'm not going to expect myself to go to the Olympic trials in the marathon. Like that's just, I was not designed to do that. And so I'm in that. There's some security in almost a lower expectation.
I agree.
In not doing well. More freedom in just doing it for the enjoyment. Is really kind of where that came in. So I started doing that a lot and training for that. And then enter COVID. And the trail run that I actually registered for got canceled. So I was like, great, I finally put myself into a place to try something and it got canceled. God, what are you showing me? Like, do I still need to, pursue this? What am I learning right now?
I
Decided to stick to it. And that community, that kind of effort opened up 2 doors. And one of them is a new company that I run called Firm Foundations, which comes from 1 Timothy 6, 17 through 19, and just talks about utilizing your gifts, your wealth that you've been blessed with to bless others, to be generous.
I love that.
Is building firm foundations for generous futures. And my heart in that is, with this downtime and all the time that I've had with not training and not practicing, how can I use my expertise in my career? I'm a community planner, and to help businesses strategize, to help organizations, especially nonprofits and faith-based, utilize my heart to build them up. And so that's something that I started dedicating time to. That made some connections with other small businesses. And because of that connection and actually having a foundation of faith within that, the businesses that I got connected to are actually ones that help sponsor and promote an organization called Rescue Freedom, which they have something called Adventure Philanthropy. And that's where you get to raise money and bring awareness to the environment of the outdoors around what is happening with human trafficking and sex slavery in our world.
Which is huge.
So dovetail that into me, like, God, you canceled my race. Like, what am I training for? Why am I still running up a mountain? Like, what am I doing? And pair that with this company that I started that somehow found its way into the relationship with other women-owned, faith-based advocate business owners.
I love that.
So those together have been incredible, because now not only am I partnering with these businesses in something that I feel is my heart work, I also now understand that my physical ability is no longer for me, for God, and it is for fighting for those that don't have a voice. It's to the voiceless and hope to the hopeless. And that has been unbelievably empowering for me. And so this coming year, I signed up. I don't know why I signed up for 3, but I signed up for 3 hikes.
Because you're an extremist.
I guess so. Yeah, I still have this one.
Yeah,
that's probably exactly what it is too. I'm not gonna do one. So I kind of self-titled it the Freedom Trio. So I will have 3 hikes this summer that I'm going to do. And my intention is to join Rescue Freedom in their adventure philanthropy every year. So this will be the first year, hopefully of many. Each hike is focused around a different area, a different mountain, a different type. So it might be a 24-mile through hike. It might be a 3-day overnight backpack, or the other one is a 14-mile out and back. So each one's quite a bit different, but each one has the intention of bringing awareness to our community around there's over 40 million women and children in slavery today, that are in sex slavery, that are being trafficked. So the awareness piece for me is my priority. The funding piece is to support Rescue Freedom International, which is the organization that is based out of Seattle, and they partner with 30 organizations, local, on the ground, boots on the ground, people in the streets fighting every day across the world, I think in over 21 countries. And so our ability here to have the freedom that we have, to use the physical ability that I have, and my business connections with the other, business owners that are able to help forward, to raise funds to help support that organization and all the work they're doing worldwide to support those local smaller ones.
So powerful.
That's how, like, wow, when I'm 6 years old, I'm gonna like start my athletic journey, and then when I'm almost 32, it's going to transpire into adventure philanthropy.
Which is awesome that you're still able to have fitness, because I mean, like, let's be real. How many people can do a 24-mile hike? Like, not that many people could get out there and finish it, maybe eventually, but like you're still able to do, you know, extreme amount of fitness with your body and bring awareness. I think that's so powerful. And you're recreating something, a new version of yourself while helping others too, which is awesome. I love that.
Yeah, you nailed it with the recreating piece, because that ownership that I had, sports wasn't my identity. Like, my identity is my faith. Sports though was a huge part of what made me and what built my character. And so you have to be able to know, God, you gave me a gift. Like, I have a physical ability and I have a mental ability to go through hard times and hard things. Mm-hmm. Yeah, 24-mile through hike in the Enchantments isn't easy. It's not a walk in the park. It's a hike up a mountain, literally straight up for a significant portion of it. So being able to redefine that and provide an ownership that really is, in my opinion, more God-breathed, just feels really purposeful, really intentional, and really right.
I love that. Yeah. And like you said earlier too, like the initial focus was on like you and the team and the sports, and now you're like focused on others. Not that either one is good or bad. This is a new focus. I feel like as we mature in age, like we start to focus on others more. At least we should. Not all older people do, but I think that's a really cool, you know, testament to who you are, and that you're not just Brooklyn day one. You're like, you know, this cool, supercharged woman, super strong intellect, spiritually, and you're giving to others, which is just going to just totally grow your business. I know it's going to grow this nonprofit. People want to do business with those that they like, know, and trust. And if they know that you're doing this thing, helping 40 million people, I mean, you're doing your portion to help decrease those numbers in our country. It's so bad. Like, nobody wants to talk about it. It's such a taboo subject, but it happens. It happens everywhere. And we need to start being more aware of it. And bringing fitness into it too is so important, because how much more confident is a woman that's gone through that, or boys too. I'm sure boys get into the slavery as well, but you know, or children, whatnot. But having that healing agent of being able to move their bodies, to get strong again, to get confident again, you know, and having mentors like you. I mean, like, you're like the spokeswoman for it, I'm sure. Like, if not yet, like, let's definitely talk with the head of the organization after the show. I think that's so cool. And you honestly, you tied all the pillars without me even asking you. Like, faith is your mindset. You know, maybe you have some tips and strategies to share beyond that. But you touched on that, in community, whether it was on your team in the beginning stages of your journey, or now, you know, pairing up and connecting with business owners, and this nonprofit is your newfound community and family as well. Like, I don't even need to ask you questions, girl. You're like, just phenomenal. Your story is so powerful. And I think what you're doing is not only important and good for you, like you said, you're being intentional, but more people need to step up like what you're doing. Like, you were working a full-time job while doing this professional athleticism, and you're like, well, how am I going to spend that 80 hours a week that I was using for my sports now? Oh, let me just start a nonprofit, or join a nonprofit, start my own business, so I'm helping the community. Like, you're doing great things. I love this. I love to hear that.
Thank you. Yeah, I was so excited to be able to connect with you, because I think right now in our world, there is a wave of mental health awareness happening. And the things that I struggled with, actually, that led me to the giving back, because there's so much joy rooted in serving like that. I think I think anybody that gives of themselves will identify with that feeling.
Yeah.
And I noticed that when I was forced into retirement, not only did I stop playing, I had 2 significant surgeries that I didn't even let me like get up and walk. I couldn't get dressed by myself. Like,
wow.
And it was, I couldn't even step into my own shower. Like, it was a debilitating thing for me, just physically, but emotionally. And I, we mentioned earlier, like, I'm really mentally strong. I can get through things. And I didn't know how to get through my retirement and my injury. I spent a couple years grabbing on to things that weren't for me, in the sense of, and nothing really in terms of self-destruction, but in terms of investing my energy in places that God was like, I didn't lead you here. Like, where are you going?
Yeah. What are you doing?
I'm going to teach you a lesson and bring you back in. And I learned that I was grieving, that I was living life while mourning a life that I no longer had.
Yeah.
So for me, I had to dive into who God claimed that I was. I had to dive into the exercises that I knew as an athlete would bring healthy thoughts and healthy habits, and confidence and security. And I think part of not only that transition from athletics into just being an athletic person, but the ability to recognize I'm not impenetrable. I'm not perfect. I'm not, just this big, strong brick wall. And the things that depression or withdrawals can affect other people more regularly, I can have an episode of that. I can experience. So to be able to be someone who on the outside probably does appear really strong and positive and resilient, and to like wake up and share with someone like, I feel like I'm dying. I feel like I've learned everything. I feel like I don't know why God's doing this to me. I feel like all these things. And to learn how to say that, and I learned that on some hikes. I went hiking with my mom, with a friend of mine, Charmaine, with a friend of mine, Wanda, and they're all of them are kind of like 20 years older than me. So that might have helped their wisdom. They're so full of wisdom. And a place of like, okay, my mental health needs to exist outside of myself. Like that place right now, because it's not healthy here. I'm not holding a healthy mental space for myself. So I need people with wisdom to come in space with me. And so I just love what you're doing. I love that you're able to do it in a way that connects with sectors and people and demographics across the board, because it's the importance of mental health in veterans. I know you have a heart for veterans and experiencing PTSD, and we can't, it's not okay to just assume that someone that's not in a demographic that it's expected to be challenged with mental health, that will then also open up that conversation in other spaces. And I'm not even meaning that the conversation is adequate for those individuals either. It probably isn't. I don't know that firsthand like you do. But in the world of athletics, in the world of just women in career or moms or business owners, and it's like, you're going to have a breakdown day. Let's make it okay conversation. And so I think you've empowered me in so many ways to be like, okay, I can have this conversation right now. Like I'm allowed to need some mental health support.
Yes.
Even as a strong athlete, even as a, businesswoman, even as someone who can always see the good in things, it's okay for me to need support in that. So
thank you for saying that. Yeah, I know that touched somebody, and that really is the goal of the show and all the content, is to normalize it. Some people do struggle a little bit more, and they're not able to, like you said, have that resiliency, that ability to bounce back to their quote unquote normal selves. And some people are going through, traumatic, financial stress or relationship stress, and it's all hitting them at the same time. And it's like being able to talk about it with somebody, or writing it in your journal, or going for a jog and just getting the sweat out, whatever it is that, you know, it is for you, or taking the meds that the doctor recommends, you know, whatever it is, that's the goal of this whole thing. Is like, there's so much discrepancy with mental health. Like when people first found out that I was working at the psych hospital, like even my dad, before he passed the third day I was working with patients. So he was in the hospital and I'm telling him, I got this job offer, Dad. I think it's going to be good. And he's like, but will you be safe? Because that's the news. That's negative PR. That's all these people, you know, saying all the worst of the worst things, which, I mean, some of the patients were highly volatile and they didn't come down to my group, like, cause they weren't safe. They weren't taking, you know, they're cheeking their meds or stuff like that. But
Yeah.
people with mental illness are everywhere. Like we all have mental illness of some sort. Like we all do. You know, some days are better than others. And I think what matters most is our hearts. And I think that's really what this whole shutdown in the world has really demonstrated, is like people with good hearts are stepping up. There's a lot more light being shown on social media. A lot more, you know, good-hearted people like yourself are getting out, spreading the message, and not just talking about it, but actually taking action in their communities, doing something to make this world better. Because there is a lot of darkness and it takes a lot more of us banding together, which ties in with our community pillar. And you mentioned that a lot already, so I don't even need to ask you, but maybe I should, though, just for the audience's, you know, listening ears to learn. It seems from the outside, from the story, that you've been able to connect with people easily, but maybe you have, maybe you haven't. For those that are in the athletic space or are starting out, you know, getting into the business sector, what are some strategies you've learned in connecting with others that you feel would be helpful for the audience?
Yeah, I think that is a great question. And I do naturally have a very extroverted personality, so I tend to meet people really well, for me, easily. I think even if you don't, if that's not your natural tendency, that prioritizing your network and thinking about what your network includes. So if you want to start a new business, start a nonprofit, join a nonprofit board, you know, advocating for a cause, a few of the things that I do pretty regularly is to look at my network. Who does my network include? Does it include people that are connected with that? Does it include, like, I have a list of small businesses that are women owned, that are local to Kashmir. And I kind of regularly, I follow them, I comment, and I engage. I have some individuals through my work that are more board related or more like elected officials that I kind of regularly check in with. And then there's family. And then I have some friends that I need for my own sanity that have nothing to do with my work and nothing to do with my volunteering. And it's like, when I see them, it's just like, oh, happy hour, you know, or so simple. It's so simple for myself to enjoy. And so when you look at your network, identifying who can help build you up in the areas that you want to serve, who can help build you up in the areas that you want to create income or revenue, whether that's starting your own business, starting a nonprofit. If you're a career person and you just want to expand your leadership development, you know, who are those people in your network? And then in your network can speak to your overall health. So do you have someone that supports your physical health? Do you have someone that supports your mental health, your emotional health, your spiritual health, and your financial health? And then it'll be the same person. Maybe someone is just so well-rounded and they can speak to all 5 of those things. I don't have that person.
I don't have that person either.
I have a couple different people that can speak to each of those different things. And I prioritize time with them. So I think that network piece, knowing who speak to what parts of you, and then being willing to say, I need your support. I need you to wrap your arms around me. I need you to wrap me in your prayers. I need you to, like, just come over here basically and smack me upside the head sometimes. I need to give you authority to speak truth into my life. things that I've asked you for wisdom on. So when you find those people, whether it's where you want to serve, how your income is around, where, what are those health pieces, those 5 health pieces, those people need to know that they have authority to speak truth in love, right? Don't just someone, but speak truth so that you become the person and become the person that's doing the things that you are proud of and that you yearn for, and the things that your future self, and that you probably hear this all the time, like, do something your future self will thank you for. Your future self is the next 3 minutes. Your future self is the next 10 years. Like, it doesn't have to just be a 10-year goal. It can be, tomorrow I want to be able to do this. So who's my person for that? And definitely communicating that and giving them the authority to check in and hold you accountable for the things that you want to do.
I love that. Absolutely love that. And we talked a bit about your past version of yourself, your new version of yourself in athletics. Move Happy is all about finding something that you enjoy doing, moving your body in some fashion. Is hiking your new favorite, or what's your favorite?
I think what I can identify as my favorite is being on top of a mountain. And I get there from hiking. I sometimes get there from a lift when I snowboard, or if I boot pack, sometimes get there from hiking. From dirt biking in the summer. So it's a range. If there's an activity that gets me to a mountaintop, I'm probably going to enjoy it. I don't know that I have a specific favorite. I think hiking's taking up the majority of my time because of the commitment I've made for Rescue Freedom and those this summer. Mountaintop access activities are my favorite.
I love that. Yeah. And that's very goal driven, that makes sense with your personality too. So I love that. Now, we talked about the nonprofit and your business. How can we at Move Happy, how can we support you right now?
Yeah, I think the 2 biggest things, and those are what I had connected with my new business, which is Firm Foundations. And so I'm on Instagram and Facebook with Firm Foundations CC, which stands for Community Consulting. So at Firm Foundations CC. And then for my Rescue Freedom, my hikes for the awareness and my fundraising, at Brooklyn Holton on both Instagram and Facebook. The link in my Instagram bio is the direct link to my fundraiser. So I have a goal this year of $10,000 to raise for Rescue Freedom. And so if you want to donate, you can either donate. There's ways to support me either financially, directly, or if you want to just share my story or share the campaign, or if you want to do something in kind. There's a lot of ways that I can run a little fundraiser that has a giveaway, or, things like that. So there's a lot of different ways, but the link in my bio on Instagram, which is at Brooklyn Holton, Holton, and that's probably the best way to connect with me for both of those opportunities.
Awesome. We'll make sure to put those handles when we air this later today. I'll put those links in there for you. Yeah, absolutely. And then I always love to close out the show with just some, random personal thing, because I feel like people connect, when they hear your story. We've shared a lot already, though. You've dove in pretty deep. So this is just totally off the cuff here. People are probably asking, how did you meet my cousin? What's that story? I don't think I know that story. Is this on the table, off the table?
Yeah, no, this is fine. It shows how extroverted I am. So we both happened to be on vacation in the same community. So Chelan, Washington was 3 hours from where both of us lived. And we were on vacation with separate groups, and I was kind of over the lack of sobriety happening in my group. And I walk out the back door of the bar, and I was like, I'm over this right now. And I jumped the fence and went to sit by the river, and there's this random person sitting on the river as well. Like, what are you doing here? Why did you come down here? And he's like, you're down here too. And I was like, yeah. And it happened to be Tyler. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to leave now. And then later in the night, I was hanging upside down from a tree in a park. I love climbing trees, mountains and trees, they're my safe place. And he walked up and he's like, how's it going? And I was like, hello again. Like, just hanging out, you know, and okay, bye.
Literally.
You know, left again. Yeah, literally. And another time I was like, these guys were playing with this is all in the same night, like within like a few hours. This playing with his like beach ball. I'm like, I want to play. And I'm like playing. Those are his group of friends. And he comes over again. He's like, hey, senior, you know, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is so weird. I don't know why this keeps happening. And I like left again. And then my friends were at the last bar and I again was over it. So I like left, I went outside and like just sat on the bench, just kind of like waiting for them to be done because I was driving home. And he walks up again, his friend was that bar, and he's like, hey. And I was like, hey. And apparently I had sat next to some throw up. Like,
oh, gross.
On the ground. I was on the bench, but he's like, nice. I'm like, that was not me. Like, I'm the DD. Like, that is mine. He's like, okay. Sure. He's like, I saw you jump a fence. I saw you hang from a tree. You were playing with a beach ball. Like, how is that not yours? I'm like, I am the DD. Okay. Like, that is not mine. And yeah, and then he found me on Facebook within like 2 or 3 days. And then just like kept talking to me. I had been dating that night when I met him. And
you were dating somebody else?
Yeah, I was there with the guy. He was the one I was over. I was like, done with you right now.
Yeah, good for you.
Yeah. So Tyler just kept, you know, hey, there's a group of us going camping, or hey, we're going to go snowboarding, and just kept in touch and kind of kept those little, and was like, just so you know, you, and I know you probably need time because you're not in a relationship anymore or whatever, you know, that whole conversation happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's how we met. He just kind of maintained that friendship via social media for almost a year.
Nice job, Tyler. He's marrying up, that's for sure.
Oh, that's sweet.
Well, this has been so fun. Girl, this has been so fun. We definitely have to have you back on the show soon. We'll keep up with your journey on all of these hikes you're doing and all the help you're doing in your community. Love you, girl. Yeah, I would love to. Thank you so much. And yeah, I will absolutely be, you know, sharing all your stuff too, because I just believe so much in what you're doing. So Thank you. Yay. See ya.